1 hour. African Union salutes former Niger President Mahamadou Issoufou on AFCFTA Secretariat soil.
15,000 capacity ultra-modern national mosque inaugurated.
Three-member committee of inquiry into Ajura disturbances ends sitting.
And also coming up in this bulletin, at least 120 people dead and hundreds more missing in West floods in decades in Western Europe. Yes.
The headline news was brought to you Kindness Munch Biscuits Munch into Happiness, and the local segment of the news is brought to you by the GRA. Our taxes, our future. This is News Hour. My name is Micheline Taka.
My name is Abdul Hayi Mumin, and the sign language interpretation is done by Jonathan Intim Yakun.
We are also live on GTV and streaming on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. You're welcome.
Friday, 16th July 2021 is down in the history pages when the former Nigerian President Mahamadou Issoufou was celebrated by the African Union for his contribution towards the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area AFCFTA, with a bust to immortalize his memory at the AFCFTA Secretariat in Accra.
President Akufo-Addo described the salute of President Issoufou as a move to inspire generations in Africa that the continent is on the cusp of taking her destiny into her own hands through trade. Edward Nyakon with the details.
In 2017, the AU appointed the then president of Niger, Mahamadou Issoufou, as a champion of the African Continental Free Trade Area AFCFTA. 5 years on, the dream, which has eluded the continent for decades, is now up and running, headquartered in Accra. As AFCFTA champion, President Issoufou led the way by being the first to ratify the Free Trade Area Agreement in Kigali, Rwanda. Today, out of 54 member states in the AU, 40 have ratified the FCFTA. And to the president of the Afri-Exim Bank, Professor Benedict Orama, the personalization of the AFCFTA is a pointer that Africa is more than ready to put the economy on the trajectory of inclusive economic growth.
The AFCFTA is more than trade. It's about our economic welfare. Part of our joy in celebrating a continental hero today is because by delivering on the AFCFTA, His Excellency and our other 54 African heads of state have propelled us even closer to the realization of the vision of the founding fathers of the African Export-Import Bank. 28 years ago, when the Exim Bank was created, the founding fathers hoped that it would serve as an institutional vehicle for the realization of an economically integrated continent through trade and trade finance.
President Akufo-Addo said due to the relentless effort of former President Mahamadou Issoufou, Africans are better positioned to unleash their economic potential through the free trade platform.
As a result of President Issoufou's relentless efforts, we have taken great strides towards realizing the Africa we want. Excellencies, this ceremony, unveiling a statue in his honor of the Secretariat of the AFCFTA, comes on the heels of President Issoufou's recent receipt of the 2020 Mo Ibrahim Prize for Achievement in African Leadership. It is further testimony of the remarkable work he undertook as the leader and champion of the AFCFTA, and also for his efforts at helping to address the security and humanitarian challenges facing the Sahel. The honor being bestowed on him today is thoroughly well deserved.
DRC's president and chairman of the AU, Mr. Felix Tshisekedi, lauded Mr. Mahamadou Issoufou for his contributions towards unearthing the largest single trade bloc in the world with a GDP of $3.2 trillion. Later, a bus erected to celebrate former President Issoufou was unveiled at the AFCTA Secretariat in Accra. Edward Nyakum, reporting for GBC News.
He was trained as a mining engineer in France, but switched to politics to ensure that Niger succeeds in building a wall against the wind of changing the presidential tenure from 2 terms to 3 in most francophone countries in Africa. Niger's former president Mahamadou Issoufou is also credited with championing the task of setting up the world's largest single trading point, the African Continental Free Trade Area.
His invitation to Accra is to be celebrated by his peers for his pioneering role in translating the AU's vision of removing trade barriers across the continent into reality. Former President Mahamadou Issoufou was born on January 1, 1952 at Dandaji in Nigeria. His political career started in 1990 and 2011 when he got a nod to lead his country as president. In 1990, he helped found the Nigerian Party for Democracy and Socialism, Tawaraya. In 1993, when Niger held its first multi-party elections, he ran unsuccessfully for the presidency. He served as Prime Minister under newly elected President Mahamani Ousmani until the PNDS withdrew from the ruling coalition. Former President Issoufou waged 3 additional unsuccessful presidential campaigns in 1996, 1999 and 2004 and finished second to Mahamadou Tanja in the latter 2 elections. As head of the PNDS, Mr. Issoufou emerged as a leading opposition figure during President Tanja's rule. In 2009, as President Tanja schemed to remain in power beyond the scheduled end of his second term, Mr. Issoufou marshaled protest demonstrations calling opposition parties to unite against the president and was briefly detained at the end of June after urging the military to disobey President Tanja's orders. On February 18, 2010, President Tanja was deposed in a coup, and the military junta that assumed control pledged that presidential and legislative elections would be held in January 2011. Mr. Issoufou was once again the PNDS candidate for the president. In the first round of balloting held in January 31, 2011, Mr. Issoufou won the most votes, although no candidate received an outright majority. 4 other opposition candidates then cast their support to Mr. Issoufou, setting the stage for him to prevail in the runoff over Mr. Senyi Umaru, who represented President Tanja's party. On March 12, 2011, Mr. Issoufou earned a decisive victory, garnering nearly 58% of the vote to defeat Umaru, who received 42%. Then President Issoufou's inauguration on April 7 returned Niger to civilian rule, a little more than a year after the military coup had ousted the government of President Tanja. The next presidential election held on February 21, 2016, Mr. Issoufou faced 14 challenges but succeeded in winning a landslide victory after boycott by the opposition. Former President Issoufou was also active in regional affairs, serving as chairperson of ECOWAS in 2019 to 2020 and leading the multi-year effort to bring to fruition the African Continental Free Trade Area. The AU has built a bust in honor of Mr. Mahamadou Issoufou at the Secretariat of the AFCTA in Accra for writing his name in gold and ensuring that from Cairo to Cape Town, traders can send their goods from one place to another without any let or hindrance. Edward Nyakum, reporting for GBC News.
Ghana's National Mosque, a 15,000 capacity ultra-modern place of worship, has opened to the public following a formal ceremony by President Akufo-Addo in Accra. The $10 million project, financed by the Turkish Hudai Foundation and the government of Turkey with support from the Saudi government, is the second largest in West Africa. President Akufo-Addo called for the national monument to be used as a center to foster unity and peace, not only among Muslims but the country at large.
Built in an Ottoman revival style with 4 minarets, Ghana's National Mosque sits on a 4.2-acre plot of land at Kalkodi, close to Nkrumah, Accra's most populous Muslim community. The inauguration means about 15,000 Muslims can converge here to worship at one go. The National Mosque of Ghana has ancillary facilities such as an office complex and a residence of the National Chief Imam, a clinic with complete laboratories and a pharmacy, a library, a secondary school and a morgue. Other facilities include a recreational center, a research center, an administrative block, an auditorium and a conference center, among others. The National Chief Imam Sheikh Usman Nur Sharbutu said the monument, which is a replica of the Blue Mosque in Istanbul, Turkey, represents unity. The president of the Directorate of Religious Affairs of Turkey, Professor Ali Abbas, who represents the government of Turkey, was hopeful the mosque will be a center for diversity, unity, peace and tranquility. The president, Nana Akufo-Addo, commended the National Chief Imam Sheikh Usman Nur Sharbutu for his leadership for such a national edifice. He hoped the mosque will serve as a tourist attraction in the country.
This beautiful complex is a replica of the famous Blue Mosque in Istanbul, Turkey, which has become one of the most visited mosques in the world for the purposes of tourism and devotion. I expect that we should also nurture and take care of this mosque and build its profile as a tourist destination for travelers and devotees to our country.
Today, bin Juma, the president with some Quranic quotations called for continued peace and unity among religious sects in the country.
The Quran states in chapter 62, verse 10, admonishes us that, and I quote, "And when the prayer is finished, then you may disperse through the land and seek the bounty of Allah and celebrate the praises of Allah, that you may prosper." Unquote. Let us thus disperse into the beautiful land that Allah has bestowed on us and seek our livelihood. On my part, I pledge to continue to serve you with all my strength and with all my heart.
At the ceremony was Niger's former President Muhammadu Issoufou and current President Mr. Mohamed Bazoum. The Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia was commended for his support to complete and set up a foundation, the Ghana National Mosque Foundation, to manage the national monument. Apart from construction of roads in and around the National Mosque of Ghana, the President has also directed the construction of a footbridge to link Nkrumah and Manubi areas to the National Mosque to avoid traffic and any incident.
Some border lines drawn along pillars erected to demarcate the boundary lines between Ghana and Togo in border towns in the Pusiga district of the Upper East region no longer exist due to farming activities and erosion. As a result, Ghana's neighbor Togo is claiming some lands along the two countries' boundary line. The White Volta and its tributaries, which is depended on by the two countries' local authorities and farmers too, is the bone of contention. A team led by the National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Dr. Emmanuel Kotia, engaged a Togolese team led by the country's Secretary of Land Commission, Mr. Duti Laja, in Senkase, a town in Togo, for a lasting solution to the boundary line issue.
The Ghana Boundary Commission is seeking to ensure that all demarcated lands within the country are protected. The Ghana-Togo border stretches over a distance of 1,089 kilometers from the tri-point with Burkina Faso in the north to the Atlantic Ocean in the south. Things got to a head recently between Ghana and Togo when Ghana's authorities attempted extending electricity to some parts of Baleting, a community in the Pusiga district thought to be part of the country, but was truncated after Togolese officials insisted they owned the land there. At Baleting, not even the local authorities can tell where the old pillars erected, which no longer exist, used to be. Another bone of contention is the Kolpig River, which is a tributary of the White Volta, separating Gariki, a community in the Pusiga district, and Kognok, also in Togo. Residents in Gariki say the Kolpig River is the boundary line, but the residents in Kognok are contesting the matter. But at the short discussion at the bank of the Kolpig River, Both countries agreed that the river is the boundary line. The district chief executive for Pusiga district, Mr. Zubeiru Abdullahi, told GBC News about the challenges his outfit and residents in the area have with their neighbors.
With my local discussion with my other counterpart in Togo, the whole agree that once the river is the boundary, that means the two countries can share whatever is in the river. So if you are doing some winning and you are going towards Ghana, the Ghana people can take care of whatever tools they are going to take. If you are also coming to Togo, then the Togo people can also do that.
The Secretary of the Lands Commission of the Republic of Togo, Mr. Duti Laja, who spoke in French, said there is no boundary dispute between Ghana and Togo, hence the need for local authorities to respect the boundary lines that have existed in order to avoid tension. He said the Togolese government will do everything possible to maintain the good relationship between the two countries. The National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Dr. Emmanuel Kotia, urged traditional authorities and citizens in communities along the Ghana-Togo border to collaborate with the security agencies to protect Ghana's borders. Major General Dr. Kotia said the Commission will come up with an educational drive to sensitize residents in border communities on how the boundary pillars must be protected.
Areas that were not accessible by Ghana towards the river line should now be open to Ghana, and the Ghanaians are now ready to leave. The Togolese have also come to an understanding that our security agencies should continue to patrol around the base on the understanding that we come.
Already, a series of meetings have taken place between officials of the two countries in Accra and Lome to draw up a draft agreement and a delimitation plan acceptable to the governments of both countries for adoption.
A major threat to life and livelihoods in the various regions of the world is sea piracy. In Africa, countries along the Gulf of Guinea are seriously affected. The crime appears to be uncontrollable. It is reported that 4 of the 9 crew members of the fishing vessels that were attacked about a month ago are still held captive by the kidnappers who are demanding ransom. The pirates who attacked the Atlantic Princess and the Iris S, both Ghanaian fishing vessels, are believed to be Nigerians. In one of the cases, the sea robbers released the victims, all of whom are foreigners, after taking a ransom of $1 million. An anonymous seafarer who gave information to the media on the development cautions that there's a high possibility of pirates' mothership in the form of a rusty-looking small-sized tanker operating in support of pirates in deep sea between Tema and Togo and stretching to Benin and Nigeria. The director of the Multinational Maritime Coordination Center, Zone F, Commander Yusuf Benin, has called for the need for the region to work together to conduct sustained operations to deny space across the region for the pirates to be able to operate. He said monitoring and information sharing are key to enforce challenges in the sub-region.
Public hearing in the ongoing inquiry into the recent disturbances at Ajura in the Ashanti region has ended. In all, 22 witnesses testified before the 3-member committee, 3 of them held in camera for security reasons. Chairman of the committee, Justice George Kingsley Kumsin, told the media that the committee will evaluate the testimonies and evidence to enable them to write and submit a report to the Minister for the Interior for consideration. Following the violent protest and shooting incident at Ajura
On June 29, 2021, the Minister for the Interior, acting on the instructions of President Akufo-Addo, announced the composition of a 3-member committee to investigate circumstances that led to the death of 2 persons and injuries to 4 others. The committee was chaired by a Court of Appeals judge, Justice George Kingsley Kumson. The members include a security analyst, Professor Vladimir Nchidanso, and Executive Director of Pen Plus Byte, an Accra-based civil society organization. The committee was to work within 10 days and was to present its recommendations by July 9, 2021. However, members of the committee called for an extension of the deadline to enable it to complete its work. The public hearings, which began on Tuesday, July 6, 2021, started with the Ashanti Regional Minister, Mr. Simon Osei-Mensah, who is also chairman of the Regional Security Council, as its witness. The hearing ended with the appearance of the Nifahini of Ajura, Nana Osei Kwaju and Sebie. On the last day of the hearing, Justice Kumsin told the media that the expected last witness to have testified failed to show up, leaving the committee with no option than to retire into chamber to evaluate all the testimonies and evidence before it enabled it to submit a report to the Minister for the Interior. He said 22 persons voluntarily testified, 3 of them in camera for security reasons. He expressed satisfaction with the level of cooperation by the people of Ajura, other interest persons and organizations, and the media in particular.
3 men who robbed and attacked one Mr. Abdul Basit Munaga at his residence in Oshiye in Accra have been convicted and sentenced to 58 years in prison for robbery. The first accused person, Romeo Mensah, also known as Kwame Amenye, was sentenced to 22 years imprisonment, whilst the second and third accused persons, Al-Hassan Yusuf and Aminu Bawa, were handed 18 years each. Meanwhile, Alassane Bawa, an ex-convict who is currently serving a 25-year sentence on a similar robbery charge, has been ordered by the trial judge, Mrs. Fiowusuapia, to serve his 18-year sentence on completion of his current sentence. 2 other suspects who were part of the robbery are at large.
Mensah, also known as Kwame Amenye, Al-Hassan Yusuf and Aminu Bawa, and 2 others, Michael Nikato, a.k.a. Mickey, and Koku Ahali, a.k.a. Kwame America, who were on the run, were charged with conspiracy, robbery, and dishonestly receiving. The facts of the case are that the complainant, Mr. Abdul Basit Munaga, is an information technologist who resides at Oshiye in Accra. The 5 men are said to be members of a robbery gang who work between Accra and Tamale. On November 25, 2017, the robbers laid ambush around the premises of the complainant after trailing him home previously and planting an AK-47 rifle and a locally made pistol in a nearby bush. According to the facts, at about 7:30 p.m. on November 25, 2017, the complainant and his wife, who were returning home in a Honda Pilot car with registration number GW737117, were spotted by the accused person, Romeo Mensah, who had mounted surveillance at the junction to the complainant's residence and signaled Michael Kato and Koku Ahali, who forcibly entered the complainant's house after overpowering his gateman. Upon arrival of the couple, the robbers went to their car and ordered the complainants to give up everything in their possession, including the vehicle. Al-Hassan Yusuf is said to have shot and missed the complainant when he put up resistance. They eventually overpowered the couple and got away with the vehicle and other items, including a gold chain valued at $3,500. A report was made to the police, who arrested 3 of the 5 suspects between 2017 and 2018 and arraigned them.
A 29-year-old suspect, Mr. William Hinakuhu, has been charged with defrauding by false pretense and was on the run, has been arrested by the police. The Kaneshi District Court issued an arrest warrant for him after a complaint was lodged that he had collected 35,000 Ghana cedis from two persons under the pretext of securing them visas to travel abroad. The suspect, who went into hiding after failing to provide the travel documents, is now in police custody.
The Member of Parliament for Asen Central, Mr. Kennedy Ejapong, has responded positively to an engagement with leadership of Parliament. This follows his referral to Parliament's Privileges Committee. Mr. Kennedy Ejapong is alleged to have made threats to the life of a journalist, Mr. Erastus Asari Donko, from a Kumasi-based radio station. The Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Alban Bagbin, had earlier referred a petition by the Member of Parliament for Tamale North, Mr. Al-Hassan Suhini, on the issue to the Privileges Committee. Presenting the business statement for the 9th week, the Deputy Majority Leader, Mr. Alexander Apenyo-Markin, said leadership is taking steps to resolve the issue, but the MP for North Tong, Mr. Samuel Okujetu-Ablakwa, said the minority will reject what he described as an attempt for out-of-committee settlement.
Under what standing orders is the Deputy Majority Leader giving us this announcement or serving this notice to the House? I mean, please, if you want to plead for your client, come properly and go and do that at the committee. But don't say that, oh, we would not have to go through that long. Who has complained about the process? We are ready to go through the length of that duration. And let's be careful we don't create the impression that some MPs, when the Speaker has referred, they are above that referral. He must go there and ensure that the decision of this House and the decision of Mr. Speaker is respected. So please, as for that, your notice, we reject.
I think that he should appreciate the angle I came from. I did so in good faith that, yes, something has happened. Honorable Kennedy Ejapong, who is a member of this side, has been engaged, and I wanted to assure this House, because the member said it affects the integrity of us, and I was assuring the House that we are taking positive steps, and perhaps we may even resolve ahead of time. Lawyers are here, they know out of court settlement. Sometimes we resolve before the scheduled date of the matter, and the court will accept it.
What's in a name? Well, did you know that Agbogloshi derives its name from a river shrine? Did you also know that Agbogloshi was originally Old Fadama? In the 1960s, Agbogloshi was wetland, and at one point it was an industrial enclave during Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's regime. It was surrounded by the Agboglo River, which is the domain of a deity for the Agbogloshi community. This Agboglo River flows into the Kole Lagoon of the Odo River and then into the Atlantic Ocean. Agbogloshi is a Ga word which literally means beneath the Agboglo, which is the river.
The city of Accra expanded, a ghetto grew, referred to as Sodom and Gomorrah, a name born out of the frequent spate of crime and harsh living conditions there. The 80s saw the area turned into a place of shelter for refugees fleeing the Kokomba and Nanumba War. Then, in the early 90s, A handful of traders were moved from the Public Works Department PWD area in the Central Business District of Accra and settled close to the Agbogbo River. Thus, the market was named Agbogloshi, a Ga word literally meaning beneath the Agbogbo River. Although Agbogloshi was originally known as Old Fadama, the name of the Agbogloshi market, which sprang up in the early 90s, made this community very popular. With time, the original name of the town faded out and the community is now referred to as Agbogloshi.
When we call Agbogloshi, that means under the river. The word is Agboglo. It's a river shrine, which Udo, as we know today, Udo is Udo Oko instead of Udo now. So another river shrine flow from Alajo down to Agboglo, Agboglo to Kole, down to the sea. So these three rivers combined together flows to the sea. Formerly it was a bushy area that a few people stayed there because of the river. When it was the turn of the non-conference, these women have to be relocated because of the foreigners coming. So by then it was Yiti Mensah who sought permission from the Mosque. And they took the women there to go and trade at Agbogloshi. That is the history behind Agbogloshi today. Formerly it was a bushy and a river shrine over there.
Agbogloshi is said to be located in the center of Accra. This is the Agboglo River, which is a domain of a deity for the Agbogloshi community. The shrine for this river, known as the Bontia Koshia, is housed at the residence of the first GBC Manche near Ibonte at Ayalolo in Accra. Every year, customary rites are performed on this river prior to the celebration of Homowo. Agbogloshi was well known for its trade in onions, but then virtually in the twinkling of an eye, it suddenly turned into a digital dumping ground. In the ensuing years, the Korle Lagoon has become one of the most polluted bodies of water on earth, with levels of toxins over 100 times the acceptable amount. The story of Agbogloshi is different today. The Agbogloshi market is no more, as all the traders and metal scrap dealers have all been relocated to Ajinkotoku. What remains as a reminder of its existence once upon a time is the vast land which many hope and fervently pray will be allowed to breathe again. The relocation is part of the Greater Accra Regional Minister Mr. Henry Quarter's ambition to make Accra work by putting an end to trading on streets and pavements in the national capital. All structures in that enclave have subsequently been demolished.
Still to come in the news, business, sports, entertainment and the health segments. Please do stay.